As long as we're doing anecdotes, my dad used to say it takes a big dog to weigh a ton. So I don't know if that fits in or not, but I'm a simple guy. I spent 30 years in sales, and I always felt that the most important thing I could do as a salesman was be honest with my customers, because if I ever misled them or lied to them, I figured they would never trust me again, and rightfully so. And I always expected the same behavior from them. But when I was first elected to this office, Mr. Speaker, I have those purple signs all over part of my district, especially where I live in the city of Lodi, for fair maps. And in 2019, a reporter asked me how I felt about the Iowa model and redistricting, nonpartisan redistricting. I said, when it comes to the floor, I will vote for it, not knowing if or when it would, but it made sense to me. And I thought, the longer I've been in office, I thought, this is probably something we should put to bed. And here we are. When I was first elected, Patrick Fuller, the old chief clerk, walked me up the steps of the Capitol, and he said, John, don't ever forget who sent you here. And remember that the most important thing you have is your integrity and your name. And once you lose that in this building, your comrades will not work with you because they won't trust you. And so I've always tried to be honest with everybody I meet with, whether I'm telling them what they want to hear or not. I think it's important that we know where we stand. So here we are with this bill on the floor, and I'm excited to vote for it. Mr. Speaker, I apologize. I have my phone handy, and I know that's against the rules, but I'll tell you why. Because a year ago, the former minority leader in this body stood right over there and called me a liar on the floor of the Assembly, because I said I would vote for this bill when it came to the floor. And I'm only half kidding, Mr. Speaker, that I'm expecting a phone call tonight from the former gentleman from the 54th with an apology, because tonight I'm going to vote for this bill, and I'm hoping he's a man of character as well, and he will call and apologize for besmirching my name. I'm not going to hold my breath, Mr. Speaker. So I think you're going to hear some of these tonight. You've heard some already. You heard a quote from the governor that this is what we got to do, and we've heard will of the people should be the law of the land. We've heard that forever. For years, my colleagues, our colleagues on the left side of the aisle, have called for this bill. They've introduced this bill. It's the gold standard of redistricting. And I can tell you, in sales, Mr. Speaker, I sometimes had to negotiate deals with my customers. And it's just bizarre to me that for 10 years, maybe longer, we've been hearing from our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, and once again, you'll hear some of those quotes tonight, Mr. Speaker, that this is something we have to do. So I've never been involved in a deal, a negotiation, Mr. Speaker, where you finally say, okay, here it is, you win, and the other side says, wait a minute, I don't want it anymore. I don't get that. I'm sorry, I just don't understand how that works, Mr. Speaker. And I go back, honest to God, I'm a simple guy. I'm sure it could be explained to me. But I'm old enough to remember the Green Bay Packers back in the 60s when Vince Lombardi was the coach. And he used to tell his players that when you win or you score a touchdown, act like you've been in the end zone before. Well, to our colleagues on the left side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker, this is a big win for you guys. When I win at something, and I've fought a lot of fights in my life, in my martial arts career, I never sat on my hands after I won one. I felt pretty good about it. I usually would go home and have an adult beverage and celebrate, right? So this is all new to me. It's foreign. It's a foreign way for me to see people win. For something that you've wanted for decades, Mr. Speaker, not you, but our colleagues, and now here it is, I don't get it. I also want to compliment the gentlelady from the 12th, and I agree with the gentleman from the 2nd and the gentleman from the 60th. There are some speeches in this body that you just don't forget. And that's going to be one of them. That was heartfelt. That was, I know my party's got marching orders, but I was elected to do a job here. Those are the speeches that I think are incredible. And we had a meeting, and we broke for a meeting today to look for ideas on how to make this bill better today, Mr. Speaker. And we had a couple of representatives who came and yelled at us about something. But we had two brave souls who came in and sat down with notes and had a conversation with us, Mr. Speaker, about things that they were concerned about and wanted those addressed. But they were very respectful. They were very cordial. And I thanked both of them. And on the way out of the room, I said, you guys did great work here today. Thank you so much for coming and be a part of this. It's pretty rare. It really stands out. I tell my students the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is extra. It doesn't take much, especially in this day and age. But those efforts today were extraordinary. The last thing I want to mention, Mr. Speaker, is I've never sat in one of our caucuses and heard anybody say, you're voting today, and this is how you're voting. I've never heard that. And the gentleman from the 2nd is right. And I was told that by my predecessor. There are going to be times you need to vote your district, and it's going to be a different side of what the team is voting. Tell them leadership what you're doing, but if you have to vote your district, you vote your district. That's what you were sent here for. Remember, Pat Fuller told me, don't forget who sent you here. I do not understand this lockstep. We're not speaking. We're not voting. We're not doing anything. We were not sent here to do that. We're sent here to get this job done. And I agree with the gentlelady from the 12th. It isn't about how long we're here. It's about the work we do while we're in this body. And it's a tremendous honor, and I'll never take it for granted. I hope none of you do as well, Mr. Speaker. I will proudly, I wish he'd call, be voting green on this bill. Thank you.